As someone taking this course, I need to know the 5 Scrum values so that I can understand the benefits of each Scrum value in the workplace. Explain how they work together to foster a more creative, productive, and enjoyable environment for me and my Scrum team, and help lead to a sustainable pace of work.
Scrum values are to support an environment that fosters creativity, innovation, health and wholeness of the people, sustainable pace, in the midst of significant improvements in performance. I constantly hear, everywhere I go, people come up to me. Last month it was in London. An oil executive came up to me and said, "My job was soul-sucking. I was working nights and weekends. I could never deliver on time, always under pressure. Scrum gave me back my life." So what that tells me is that the Scrum values were implemented in the environment. So let's talk about what they are. The first one is openness. Transparency is one of the fundamental pillars upon which Scrum is based. We want to make everything visible. We want to know the work visible. We want to have any reporting be automatically there simply by doing minimal tooling. We need to hear the best ideas from everyone. We want to hear from everyone. Anyone needs to be able to raise an impediment, propose a solution. Anyone can put anything on the product backlog in Scrum. All meetings are open. When I worked with a congressman who got the Sunshine Law implemented in the state of Colorado, and the Sunshine Law said anybody could attend any meeting. So there's nothing hidden. Now that is quite different than traditional organizations operate. So in order to get that, we find that we really need people to have courage, be willing to step up. It's not easy to speak truth to power. It's not easy to tell management what they're doing is wrong and that the company is broken and insist that it be fixed. Okay, that requires a lot of moxie. Okay? So the ability to propose a new idea, raise an impediment, get things fixed requires a lot of courage. Now, what we find is that people will not have that courage if they're constantly put down, if they're constantly suppressed, if they're constantly criticized. And the level of criticism, unnecessary and irrational criticism in corporations is incredible. The research shows that 70% of what's in every performance appraisal is not about the person, it's about the manager writing the performance appraisal. That means 70% of what managers think is an irresponsible put down of the employee. That's how bad it is, okay? So we need to train people at all levels to really have respect for people. This is also fundamentally the right thing to do because of what we know about systems theory. We know that 80% of the problems in any organization are system problems that are not an individual personal problem. We also know from the psychological literature that 80% of the time something breaks, people want to blame it on a person. So there's this irrational psychology that's built into our brains. It's called the fundamental attribution error. So we need to have, we need to train people to self-correct. And where did we find this? In robotics. We tried to train an autonomous robot to behave like a person, and we found the robots were doing the wrong thing. And the root cause of doing the wrong thing is they were attributing something in the environment that was a systemic problem they assumed that was caused by a person screwing things up. So we have to fix the robots so that they would work. And the only way we're going to fix the people so they work is to really through education. And as Taiichi Ohno says in his classic books on workflow management, he says 50% of what a project manager thinks is wrong. And the job of a project manager every day is to come in and figure out which 50% of what they're doing and thinking is wrong. And when they figure that out, to confess to the team that they had a wrong idea. And Taiichi Ohno said to his project leaders who were asking, how do we become great? He said, if you do this, the people will follow you anywhere, and then you will be a great project leader. So this is not just a nice thing to do. It's a critical thing to do for leadership at all levels. And in Scrum, leadership begins with the team, which is self-leading, the Scrum Master who is facilitating the team, the product owner, and the management in the organization all need to really understand this fundamental dynamic. And if they understand it, then they will respect the people. That will enable the people to have enough courage to speak up, be open, then the new ideas will flow. Okay, so all of these values are linked, and they're all fundamentally based on significant amounts of research, just like everything else in Scrum. It is not just some project manager's idea. It's based on mountains of research not only in the business literature, but in the AI, robotics literature, in the psychological literature, everywhere. If we can get openness, which only comes with courage and respect, then we can start to build agreement on what should we do and how should we get there. And that enables teams to focus. And as we pointed out in Peter Senge's work at MIT, the average team is not really a team. They're actually people running in different directions. And if you can get them to focus on a goal, it's just like in a sports team. If their goal is to put the ball through the goal at the right end of the field, then everybody goes in the right direction. Some teams don't do that and they lose, right? So we need focus, and we have to agree on what the goal is and agree how people can help the team move towards the goal. If we can get everybody aligned, we get twice the work in half the time, and it's less work and it's more fun. So simply by focusing, things become really easier. Once we have that focus, it's much easier for a team to commit. And commitment is the linchpin of Scrum. Until there is commitment, as the great Scottish mountain climber Murray said, until there is commitment, there's hesitancy. There's drawing back, there's ineffectiveness. This makes teams slow. There is a fundamental, an elementary truth that at the moment one definitely commits, providence moves. What he means is the environment around you moves to actually help you. All sorts of things happen to help that are unexpected. Some of this is obvious because once other parts of the organization see that your team is committed to this direction and they're out there communicating their needs, then the organization will tend to self-organize to help you achieve that commitment. But it's even deeper than that. As Murray says, a whole stream of events flow from that point of commitment, and they only start to flow. And this has to do, the latest scientific thinking is that some of this has to do with deep level quantum mechanics. When you observe something and it comes into focus, it changes. And the more you observe and the more you focus, the more things change, even at an atomic level. And that's true. Everything flows from that. So you can recreate the environment that you're working in. So a lot of people say to me, well, Scrum will never work here, everything's broken, nothing can ever be fixed. Scrum is designed as a tool that will alter that environment to turn it into one where it's actually rewarding and fun to work in. It's productive. You have, instead of living in an environment of scarcity, you have more than enough. You live in abundance. Altering that environment so that you experience that requires step by step, piece by piece, impediment by impediment, moving things forward. So the commitment, as Murray says, raises in one's favor all manner of incidents and meetings and material assistance which no one could believe could ever come their way. So people have always asked me, even Ken Schwaber has said to me, Jeff, you don't talk enough about the magic of Scrum. Where does the magic happen? The magic happens when the commitment of the team occurs, and it only happens with openness, courage, respect, focus, and commitment.
Let's review key points from this lesson. The Scrum values help foster creativity, innovation, and the health and wholeness of the team. These values also ensure the improvement of team performance and that work is done at a sustainable pace. The 5 Scrum values are openness. Information is made clear and available to everyone. Scrum events are open to all. Problems or impediments are made visible. Courage. Speak truth to power. Share your ideas. Say when something is broken and insist it be fixed. Be willing to step up. Respect. For people and ideas, including those that differ from your own. Respect is essential for people to be confident enough to be open. Focus. The team is working together to meet a clear, common goal each sprint. Focus helps reduce disruptions so the team can stay on task. With focus, your work becomes faster, more efficient, and better. And finally, commitment. Committing to your team, the sprint goal, and the Scrum values themselves.